So let's just start with a huge question. What's the point of it all? I mean, in a world that's just filled with rules we didn't make and conflicts we can't control, how are we supposed to find our own meaning? Today, that's exactly what we're going to dive into. We're going to explore that fundamental question through a classic poem, a powerful story from the chaos of war, and a single sentence that somehow captures a lifetime of expectations. All right, let's kick things off with a question that has, echoed through generations. It was posed with this aching honesty by the amazing poet Walt Whitman. In his poem, "Oh Me, Oh Life," Whitman isn't just being overly dramatic here. He's voicing a feeling of despair that is just so deeply human. He's looking out at the world, then he's looking at his own life, and he's just asking, what's the use? It's a question that cuts right to the very heart of our search for meaning. He starts by looking outward at everyone else, and he sees these endless trains of the faithless, these huge crowds of people who just seem to be shuffling through life without any real belief or purpose. You know that feeling, right? Of being kind of lost in a crowd that's just going through the motions? And, well, it gets even darker. He calls these crowds sordid, which is such a powerful word. It means something morally unpleasant, almost dirty. He sees people living these slow, heavy, uninspired lives. This isn't just about being sad. It's a profound disappointment with humanity itself. And then, Whitman does what we all do. He turns that critical eye inward, on himself. He talks about self-reproach, about looking back on his own useless years with a ton of regret. He feels like he's just as foolish and flawed as the very crowds he's watching. It's that mix of disappointment in the world and regret for his own life that really fuels that huge central question. What good can possibly come from any of this? Okay, to really see this struggle play out, let's turn to our first case study. We're heading to a village in Bangladesh during the brutal 1971 Liberation War, where a mother named Sona Bahan is facing this exact feeling of overwhelming emptiness. So Sona Bahan is a single mom, and her entire world is just shattered when her only son, Amin, leaves to join the war. Her home, which was once full of life, is now just defined by his absence. Her grief is this quiet but absolutely massive force, and it creates this deep, profound void in her life. Now, to cope with this, Soliman does something pretty fascinating. She starts to pour all the love and the anxiety she has for her son into her rooster, Moti. She literally calls Moti my son. She sees the rooster's kingly spirit and thinks it's the same brave, fighting nature that all the men in her family have. So the rooster, he stops being just a bird. He becomes a stand-in for Amin. There's actually a term for what's happening here. It's called a surrogate identity. To deal with that gaping hole that Amin left, Sarnavan makes Moti a surrogate. He becomes the living, breathing vessel for all her maternal love. It's her way of trying to fight off the crushing emptiness of her home. But then, tragedy strikes again. Moti dies. And for Sonaman, this is not just losing a rooster, it is like losing her son for a second time. The story makes it so clear that this small, everyday loss feels just as devastating as the big, historical event of the war. Her entire world just loses all of its meaning. Now let's switch gears and look at this struggle in a totally different context. We're moving from the emptiness that comes from loss to the emptiness caused by the crushing weight of societal rules, which we see in Jamaica Kincaid's short story, Girl. This story is just incredible for its structure alone. It's one long, breathless sentence, just this torrent of commands from a mother to her daughter. It's not a conversation at all. It's a relentless programming of what a respectable woman is supposed to be. The instructions, they start with domestic stuff. The foundation of this girl's entire identity is meant to be built on her ability to do household chores. Right away, her value is tied to how useful she is in the home. But the rules, they quickly move way beyond chores. The mother starts dictating how the girl has to perform her emotions, policing every single social interaction just to maintain this perfect public image. There's zero room for authentic feeling, only for the correct performance. And right here, this is where we see the suppression of her culture and herself. Benna is a type of anti-Giguan folk music, and it's often full of local life and gossip. The mother forbids it in proper settings, basically forcing the girl to chop off parts of her own cultural identity just to seem decent. So this entire list of commands, it's a perfect example of social conditioning. The mother is basically providing a blueprint for how to be a woman. She's training her daughter not just to be helpful, but to internalize this very specific, incredibly restrictive set of rules just to survive in a judgmental society. What's really striking here is that even in these vastly different cultures, the pressure on women is remarkably similar. Both the girl in the Caribbean and women like Sonobon in Bangladesh are being judged by their skills at home and their ability to uphold the family's public reputation. So, how do these two stories, one's about grief during a war and the other's about a mother's endless list of rules, how do they connect back to our big question about finding meaning? Well, both of them are facing a deep emptiness. It's just coming from different places. Sonobon's home is emptied by the physical absence caused by war. The girl's self is being emptied of its own desires and personality by this nonstop barrage of rules. One is emptiness from loss, the other is emptiness from suppression. And this brings us right back to Whitman's idea. Both Sonobon and the girl are actors in a powerful play that they didn't write. The script for them is history, it's war, it's society, it's tradition. They are these small figures caught up in enormous forces that are dictating their lives. Which brings us all the way back to the beginning. We've seen the despair, we've seen the emptiness, and the overwhelming power of this play. So let's go back to Whitman's painful question, because the poem itself actually holds the answer. We ask it one more time, but now it feels heavier, right? It carries the weight of Sonobon's empty home and the girl's constricted spirit. In the face of all of this, what is the point? And here it is, the answer. And it's breathtakingly simple. The good, the value, it's not found in beating the world or perfectly following all the rules. It's in the simple, undeniable fact of your own existence, that you are here, that you have a life and an identity, no matter how small or constrained it might feel. Whitman's final metaphor just transforms the entire poem from this cry of despair into a call to action. He says the powerful play of life, it's going to continue, with or without us, but you have the chance to contribute a verse, to add your own unique line to this great human story. So the final question isn't for Whitman or Sonobon or the girl, it's for you. The powerful play goes on. What will your verse be?